Hello, my name is Emma, biology teacher, and I'm making a few videos to help those who are sitting their matric this year. So during this time of the unknown, I'm aware that many of you can't go to school. You're on Easter holiday at the moment, but we're in the middle of this lockdown. None of us know what's going on, so I decided to set up this online learning platform to supplement any resources that you've got from school if you've got access to the internet. I know there's a lot of people who don't have access to the internet, so if you know anybody who doesn't, you could pass on for me that I will be running some revision classes once all of this is over. So in the aftermath we will be setting up some revision classes locally in Orlando West and Pimville, so you can let people know if they need to come along to those. So far exams are due to be sat at the same time, they haven't delayed them, so I just wanted to help you really if you're struggling with your life sciences at the moment and struggling at home, because sometimes it's hard just to read from a book and to find the motivation, and if you don't understand something it's difficult if you can't ask a teacher. So you can ask me anything, leave a comment and I'll get back to you. So this is to cater for all students, and I do tutor some students already and some have severe difficulties, so I'm going to try to break everything down so that it's easier to understand. Obviously we're focusing on the exam year, so we'll be focusing on grade 12 work, but we will occasionally go back to things which you've done in grade 10 and 11, because that's when everything started, and then we were building up on that from grade 10 to 11 to grade 12. And if you don't understand something from grade 10, by the time you get to grade 12 it can be very difficult. So I'll do my best to go back to those things if we need to. So just seeing if there's anything else on my notes. So we're all working from home at the moment. I'm teaching from home, you're learning from home. There are many, so I said there's many people trying to help at the moment, so you may find other videos as well if mine don't make sense or if other people have got better technology. But I just wanted to do something that I could do during this time to help you if you're struggling. So as I said, during your matric you would have looked from grade 10 to grade 12, you would have focused on 4 strands all the way through. And they're the same 4 strands, grade 10, grade 11 and grade 12. So I've got here, I don't know if you'll be able to see this properly, it says Matric Life Sciences, and these are the 4 strands which you've been working on since grade 10. Okay, so number 1, I can see life at the molecular, cellular and tissue level. So that's everything to do with molecules, how they're made up of atoms, and how they work in the body. And so you would have been introduced to them in grade 10. Cellular, so the cells are the building blocks of our bodies, so how the cells work and what they contain, how they control things in our bodies and the different types of cells. And then tissues are made up of cells, so specialised cells make up tissues which perform a specific function in the body. So that's what number 1 is about, and that's one of the strands which I find a lot of people do struggle with. So number 2 is life processes in plants and animals. That one's a bit simpler, and I'll go through what we're going to do in grade 12 with each of these in a bit. Number 3 is your environmental studies. So you may have gone out and done field work for this one. There's a lot of ecology and looking at different populations of plants and animals. Number 4 is diversity, change and continuity. So we're undergoing massive change right now, but that one it sounds quite vague, but it's just because things are constantly changing on a biological level. And we're having to adapt to changes right now, so it's part of that. So that's number 4, diversity, change and continuity, how we continue adapting to these changes. So we'll look at what's involved in each of these strands now for grade 12, I say. So for strand number 1, the molecular, cellular and tissue level, grade 12, we focus on DNA as the code of life. So DNA, as you know, deoxyribose nucleic acid, is what makes all of us unique, and all of our cells contain the same copy of DNA. So we look at that in detail. We also look at RNA, which is another nucleic acid, involved in replicating DNA so that every cell has the same. We'll look at that in detail as well because it's quite tricky. And protein synthesis, because of course your cells are busy making proteins all the time. Our bodies are full of proteins that all do different functions in the body. So RNA and protein synthesis, again quite tricky. And then we finish that strand number 1 with meiosis, which is a form of cell division. So you would have looked at mitosis earlier on, how cells in the body divide to make new cells, and meiosis is obviously in the reproductive organs, so it's quite different. We look at the similarities and the differences between those two types of cell division as well. Okay, so number 2, which was life processes in plants and animals, is where we look at reproduction in vertebrates. Vertebrates, as you'll know, are animals with a backbone, so us included. So then we also focus on human reproduction this time as well in more detail. Can't see my words, hold on. We'll look at the nervous system and the senses, those two are connected. How we respond to things in the environment, stimuli. We'll look at the endocrine system, which is your hormones and where they're secreted in which glands and why they're important. And we finish strand 2 with homeostasis, which is keeping the balance in our bodies. So making sure that everything is kept as it should be. The temperature of our body is kept stable by negative feedback loops, and the pH in our bloodstream is kept stable, and we have the right quantity of salts and fluids in our veins. So that's what homeostasis is all about. It's quite interesting. Number 3, which was your environmental studies. At grade 12, we're looking at Darwinism and natural selection, so survival of the fittest, which is what's happening right now during this coronavirus outbreak. And then we also look at human evolution, where we came from, which we've got quite a lot of exciting information in this country, with the cradle of humankind being one of the topics we focus on. And number 4, which was the diversity, change and continuity, we look at the human impact on the environment, which you've been looking at since grade 10. Many human impacts on the environment and what consequences they will have. Are we taking too much from the environment and not giving back enough? And then we cover any current crises that we're having. And again, making this video because we're having a current crisis. But actually what's happening here, oddly enough, is the reverse. So we're having a biological impact on the human population of the world. So the world is impacting us right now and is actually recovering. So although we're in a terrible situation in this pandemic, the earth itself and the environment is actually improving and has actually recovered a lot just in the short time since December, when this pandemic started. So that will be a really interesting topic once we get to strand number 4. So that's what I plan to work through with you. I'm not sure how long we'll keep going for, but we'll certainly keep going until May or June when you sit your exams. So the first lesson, this is just an introduction to explain to you what I'm doing, but the first lesson we will focus on strand number 1, starting with our DNA as the code of life. and later on we'll look at the RNA and protein synthesis, and then we'll go on to meiosis as well. I've got lots of diagrams to help you understand it, and hopefully we will be able to do some practicals as well. So because of this coronavirus outbreak, we've now got alcohol-based hand sanitizer, and I do have some 70% ethanol in the freezer right now, so I'm hoping to be able to extract the DNA from a banana at some point. So if you haven't done that in school, I'll try to make a video, and that will be quite an interesting one to do. So because these things, DNA, RNA, are all sort of things which we can't actually see in real life, so it helps if we do some practical work as well. And I know in school sometimes you don't have time to do much practical work, so I hope these sessions will help somebody anyway. But if you do find them difficult, or if there's anything particular that you want me to go over that you've missed from grade 10 or 11, just let me know in a comment, and I will happily make an extra video on it for you. If there's anything you want me to send by email, I can do that as well. I have access to the internet twice a week at the moment. We're all struggling, but twice a week I will have access to the internet, so I can email you documents or tests and things like that, but I'll also leave links to revision guides that you can download off the internet as well, and you can use the videos as well as those resources, those online resources, and anything you've got from school. So your textbook is really important. Hopefully you've got your textbooks. If not, let me know, and again I will see if I can point you in the right direction. It's difficult right now to get hold of any books, but there are ways, and if necessary I can email you the information that is in the textbook, if that makes sense. I do have one copy of the textbook. The other book is a teaching guide, but it still has useful things in it for you. So I think that's it for now, but I just wanted to introduce what I was trying to do on my part to help you in this country at the moment. Those of you which are getting ready for your exams and you need to improve on your life sciences, or you may have sat your matric and you're resitting it again. Many people having to do that. It's not their own fault. So I hope this is going to help you, because this is the last thing any of us expected to happen just before your exams. So it would be really sad if this had to affect your grades this year, if you've already resat your matric especially. But I think that's all for now, so that I don't make the video too long to upload, and I will see you in the next video, which will be, we'll make a start on strand number 1, and we'll start by looking at DNA, and we'll start slowly explaining what DNA is, where it lives in the cell, what its purpose is, how it's made up. The molecule is made up of chromosomes and genes and so forth, and then we'll talk about how DNA replicates itself in order for a cell to divide, and we'll go from there. But I will make sure I use lots of diagrams, because it's much easier to understand when you have a diagram in front of you. But if you have any questions, or as I said, or anything you want me to focus on specifically, just let me know and I'll do my best.